The RGV is dealing with the problem of supply. Citizens in the lower income bracket are being exposed to cheap, unhealthy food that in turn causes a list of health problems, such as obesity and high blood pressure. The source? Franchises. Because of the massive infrastructure that franchises provide, local business owners that run these clones of industry pump low nutrient food at extremely competitive prices into the impoverished mouths of the RGV. Coupled with a lack of knowledge on nutrition, most individuals in lower income brackets will choose cheap, low nutrient food from massive franchises over locally sourced food from RGV businesses. This in turn lowers both the growth of the RGV business sector and of the local economy in general. So, in this problem, what are the stakeholders that would be involved? The stakeholders that would most likely benefit in an attempt to solve this problem would be, for one, local businesses, the people we're trying to help in regards to the economy. It would be local farmers that provide for these businesses. And generally speaking, it would be the RGV community in general, because most people around here are in the low income bracket, and they would much rather prefer buying cheap food that might not necessarily be healthy for them in the long run. So stakeholders that would probably not benefit from an attempt at the solution to this problem would obviously be, for one, the franchises that we're trying to limit, namely McDonald's, Whataburger, Dairy Queen, things like that. Franchise license owners. So these are the people that are either local or private that buy licenses to build a McDonald's and then generate income from those sources. And then probably will be like the manager, or they'll run the store. Established distributors and suppliers of those franchises. So what I mean by that is that in these massive infrastructures that franchises bring to the table to business owners, there's the distributors, the people who package, the people who make the food, that process the food, that move the food, transportation companies. All those people probably would not like it if we limited these franchises, because they have close relationships with them, and there's all it's part of the infrastructure in general that provides this cheap food. And as a concession, there might be some RGV individuals that might not necessarily like us limiting their favorite franchises. People who are loyal customers of McDonald's, Whataburger, things like that. Those are the stakeholders that would be involved in this problem. I think it's important to explain what a franchise is. So a franchise is an authorization from a company or an organization to an individual that buys this authorization that allows them to do certain business practices, commercial activities, to participate in infrastructure, and as well as branding in order to create revenue in the local environment. So an example like that would be, say if I was someone with a lot of capital who wanted to start a McDonald's on his own. I would go to McDonald's and I would buy a franchise. This would allow me to use the branding, to build a store that has McDonald's name, McDonald's logos, and create a storefront that I could hire individuals and from there create revenue by selling McDonald's products. So that's what a franchise is. So what is our solution? What are the system of rules that we will use to try to solve our problem? So the first rule that we're going to state in order to deal with these franchises polluting the economy and polluting our health quality is going to be, firstly, that we limit the amount of food that comes from outside sources. So at least 60% of the food needs to come from local sources, farmers, growers, what have you. Exceptions to this will, of course, have to be fish and any product from the sea. Secondly, the franchise buyer must be a local resident of the RGV. The reason for that is we don't want anyone coming, from, say, under the state who just puts money in and purchases managers and starts a McDonald's here or a Whataburger, what have you, and then have that revenue come out of the local environment into that other state. Thirdly, food must be sufficiently nutritious as to promote the overall well-being of the RGV community if it's going to be sold here. So there's going to be systems in place that will check the food and make sure it's nutritious. Fourthly, and this is an important one, is our system will limit the price of food so that it doesn't compete with local businesses already in place. The reason for that is that the price of food is directly tied with the infrastructure used to provide that food. So if we limit the food, or if we limit the price, then we're going to limit the franchises that have those huge infrastructures to provide this cheap food. The fifth rule that we'll use in our technology is that workers cannot be paid at the federal minimum wage. They must be paid at least $9 an hour. This is to ensure that the money made in the storefront will circulate locally and bolster the economic growth of the economy in general, in the RGV. What that's for is in layman's terms, just have more money flowing into the local economy and have more money for people to spend on things and, the Plaza Mall or stuff like that. The sixth rule is pretty simple. It's that the percentage of sales that the franchise company makes from the revenue of the storefront be limited, or rather lowered by 1%, at least 1%. And those are the system of rules, generally speaking, that we're going to use to try to fix the wicked problem that I've stated. The issues that arose from trying to implement this technology, or rather looking to the future to see how the implementation would affect people, are as follows. So, just right off the get-go, corporate franchises would naturally lobby against this sort of legislation, stating that because local individuals are creating revenue from these franchise stores, this in turn will actually help the economy, as things already stand. Secondly, a number of residents of the RGV would probably complain due to the increase of price of their favorite food. Loyal customers of McDonald's, Whataburger, stuff like that. Thirdly, local business owners who have already invested franchise licenses, or rather have already bought them, they would probably complain that because they've already put the capital investment into building these stores, so they're in the process of actually creating a McDonald's or a Whataburger. They would probably complain and actually probably lose out on a lot of revenue for themselves and for the local economy. So things are getting pretty complicated pretty quickly. Also, a lack of jobs immediately obvious from the limiting of the franchise stores. So if we stop McDonald's from operating or limit its operations, they're going to either cut employees, or employees would just not be able to work there anymore. So that's another issue that came up. However, it wasn't all bad. There were some things that actually became beneficial upon looking into the future and seeing how our technology would implement. For one, local businesses will most definitely see an increase in revenue. If you cut the competition from McDonald's, if you cut the competition from Whataburger, Dairy Queen, the local businesses that are from the RGV will definitely have a rise in business. And that's definitely going to increase GDP of the RGV, absolutely. Another one is that it's slightly more dubious, but obesity and diabetes will probably see some reduction in cases slightly. And projections, from what we saw online, that if we did implement something like this, that might continue to grow. So, possibility there. Another obvious benefit is that low-wage workers will have more money to spend now that they're not being paid minimum wage, which will allow more wealth to circulate and will just increase the economy in general of the RGV. So, in conclusion, our goal was to solve the issue of food quality in the RGV, as well as to bolster a stagnation of growth to our locally owned and operated restaurants by implementing a set of legislation that would limit the presence and power of franchise businesses in the RGV. Due to the sweeping nature of our system of rules, however, many parties would not agree with how we intend to approach this. Lobbying, complaints, and economic realities presented real issues to our technology success. Even some RGV residents, who were the reason this technology would be put in place, would not agree with our system due to the rise of prices to their favorite fast food. Therefore, a solution to our problem ultimately cannot be met effectively, as is the nature of all wicked problems. Complications have arisen.